My name is Chloe Mitchell. I'm 32, and my hands were unsteady as I stepped into the gallery hosting the Stellar Dynamics corporate mixer. I knew this evening would mark the first time I'd see my sister, Olivia, in months, and a part of me questioned if I was truly prepared. Living under her formidable shadow was a familiar burden, but my recent, clandestine career shift had cloaked me in a strange new armor of both strength and vulnerability. I had no inkling that in a matter of hours, Olivia would attempt to publicly dismantle me, unaware that in doing so, she was committing the most catastrophic error of her professional life. Before I delve into the moment, my sister's face went ashen when her own boss introduced me. Let me set the stage. To be Olivia Mitchell's younger sister was to reside in a perpetual eclipse. At 36, 4 years my senior, Olivia was the family's golden child, a title she wore with effortless grace. Where most siblings have a balanced portfolio of talents and flaws, Olivia seemed to possess a Midas touch, turning everything she pursued into pure gold. By the third grade, she was devouring novels meant for high schoolers. In middle school, she juggled being class president with leading the debate team to victory. High school was a cascade of further triumphs: valedictorian, prom queen, state tennis champion, and the recipient of a full ride to Cornell. I, in contrast, was Chloe the quiet. It wasn't that I was unremarkable, but when positioned next to the supernova of Olivia's accomplishments, my own light seemed to vanish. My respectable B+ average appeared bleak next to her flawless 4. My role on the school paper was trivial compared to her editorship. Even when I unearthed my love for computer programming and clinched a regional coding competition in 11th grade, my parents' reaction was tepid. "That's nice, sweetie," Mom had murmured, her eyes barely lifting from the glossy college brochures Olivia had fanned across our kitchen table. "But shouldn't you concentrate more on your core subjects? Look at the doors that opened for Olivia because of her grades." Our parents never deliberately pitted us against one another. They didn't need to. The comparisons flowed organically, and they seemed oblivious to the slow erosion of my confidence. Dad was especially prone to it, introducing us with a casual cruelty. "This is Olivia, our Cornell grad, and Chloe, our younger daughter." It was as if my entire identity was a footnote to being born second. College only amplified the chasm between us. Olivia graduated summa cum laude, brandishing a double major in economics and business administration. Job offers flooded in, and she accepted a coveted position at Apex Capital Group, one of the nation's most prestigious financial firms. Her starting salary eclipsed what our parents earned combined, and their pride was boundless. My own academic path was a labyrinth. I began at a state university as a business major, a futile attempt to trace Olivia's footsteps, but I was miserable. After one particularly brutal semester, I dropped out, to the absolute horror of my parents. 6 months later, I re-enrolled at a different college, this time for psychology, only to pivot to computer science a year after that. It took me 5.5 years to earn my degree, and my graduation was a muted affair compared to Olivia's grand celebration. "At least you finished," my mother whispered, her hand squeezing mine as if offering condolences for a profound loss. Olivia didn't even show up, citing a critical business meeting she couldn't possibly miss. My early career mirrored my meandering education. I drifted between entry-level IT jobs, never planting roots for more than 18 months. Olivia, in the meantime, was ascending the corporate hierarchy at Apex Capital with breathtaking speed. Every family gathering was a stage for her to underscore the contrast between our lives. "So, Chloe, still at that help desk job?" she'd inquire over Thanksgiving turkey, fully aware I had left that position months prior. "Actually, I'm a junior developer now," I'd counter, trying to sound enthusiastic. "Oh, that's right. It's just so hard to keep track when you switch jobs so often," she would say with a light laugh, a sound our parents would echo, treating my career journey as a charming eccentricity rather than a genuine quest for purpose. The turning point arrived in the form of Arthur Vance. Arthur, a man in his 60s, was a titan of the tech industry who had witnessed the meteoric rise and fall of countless ventures. I met him while recovering data from a fried hard drive at the small tech consultancy where I was then employed. He was impressed by my methodology. "You don't think like the others," he remarked after I had salvaged his data using an unorthodox technique. "That's a rare and valuable quality." That single, casually delivered compliment, offered as I packed my gear, held more weight for me than a lifetime of my family's backhanded praise. Arthur and I kept in touch. He evolved into a mentor, pushing me to cultivate my ideas and to trust my gut. He saw a spark in me that no one else had ever bothered to look for. Olivia, naturally, was derisive. "A retired tech guy is giving you career advice. That's cute," she scoffed during a rare phone call. "But you know the tech world is a minefield, right? Not stable like finance. By the way, I just got another promotion. Junior VP now." I congratulated her, my happiness for her genuine even as her dismissiveness stung. That was our rhythm. Olivia soared and broadcasted her victories. I navigated my struggles and tried to deflect her barbs. What Olivia and my family remained oblivious to was that I had been nurturing my own projects for years. My nights and weekends were a flurry of coding, building prototypes for applications and systems that might never be released, but which gave me a sense of fulfillment no salary could match. I had shared some of these with Arthur, whose eyes would light up as he recognized their potential, even when my own self-doubt loomed large. "You have something truly special here, Chloe," he would insist. "Don't you dare let anyone convince you otherwise." For the first time, I allowed myself to believe that I was capable of more than just existing in Olivia's shadow. I just needed one real chance to prove it, not just to them, but to myself. The call from Arthur came on a Tuesday night while I was warming up leftover takeout in my small apartment. I assumed it was one of his regular check-ins, but his voice had a sharp edge of urgency. "Chloe, I need to discuss an opportunity with you," he said, skipping the pleasantries. "Can you meet me for breakfast tomorrow?" The next morning, over coffee and omelets at his favorite old-school diner, Arthur presented a proposition that would alter the course of my life. "I've been brought in to consult for a company called Stellar Dynamics," he began. "They're a promising tech startup that's hit a wall. Their product is brilliant, but they can't find their market. The board is desperate for a fresh perspective." I listened, unsure of where this was heading. Arthur's consulting projects were commonplace. "I want you to join me," he said, pushing a folder across the table. "As my associate." I nearly choked on my coffee. "Me, Arthur, I'm not a consultant, I'm just a developer." Arthur's eyes crinkled at the corners, a telltale sign he thought I was selling myself short. "You're a visionary problem solver, Chloe. That's precisely what Stellar needs." The role demanded I quit my job, but the 3-month contract he was offering paid more than my entire annual salary. Still, I was hesitant. What if I fail? What if I'm not able to help them? "Then you'll walk away with valuable experience and a nice paycheck," he responded simply. But I don't think you'll fail. With that powerful vote of confidence, I accepted. 2 weeks later, I walked through the doors of Stellar Dynamics headquarters for the first time. The company's offices spanned 3 floors of a sleek, glass-faced tower, its logo, a stylized rising sun, adorning the walls. Despite the hopeful branding, the air inside was thick with tension. Employees whispered in hushed tones, and the sight of empty desks hinted at recent downsizing. Arthur and I were introduced to the executive team, a collection of middle-aged men who eyed me with poorly veiled skepticism. Only Alina Reyes, the head of product development, seemed genuinely glad we were there. She later confided that Stellar had about 6 months of funding left before they would have to shut down. "We have incredible technology," she explained, guiding me through their product lab, "but we're hemorrhaging cash and our market strategy is a disaster." For the first few weeks, I became a sponge, observing and listening. I sat in on every meeting, scrutinized financial reports, and immersed myself in their product suite. My nights and weekends were no longer my own. They belonged to Stellar. I pored over market research and competitor analyses until my vision blurred. What I found was both thrilling and terrifying. Stellar had created a revolutionary data processing system with the power to redefine how businesses managed information. But they were marketing it completely wrong, chasing massive corporations with year-long sales cycles instead of targeting the mid-sized businesses that could adopt it swiftly. I drafted a comprehensive proposal, pivot their market focus, recalibrate their pricing, and rebrand their core tech as a scalable solution. It was a radical departure from their existing strategy, but my analysis was solid. The night before my presentation to the board, I called Arthur in a state of panic. "I can't do this," I confessed. "They won't listen to me. I'm a nobody." "You are not a nobody," Arthur's voice was firm. "You're the person who might just save their company." Don't forget that. The board meeting was as daunting as I had imagined. 8 somber faces stared back as I presented my findings. When I concluded, a heavy silence descended. "This is ambitious," the chairman finally remarked, his tone suggesting it was not a compliment. "It's also our best shot," Arthur countered. "I've been in this business for 40 years, and I'm telling you, Chloe's strategy is sound." The debate raged for hours. In the end, they settled on a compromise. I would lead a small team to test my strategy with a limited product line. If we showed results in 2 months, they would greenlight a full pivot. Those 2 months were the most grueling of my life. I worked 16-hour days, collaborating with Alina and a small, dedicated team who believed in our new direction. We overhauled marketing materials, retrained sales staff, and personally courted clients in our new target market. The results materialized faster than anyone had dared to hope. By the 6-week mark, we had closed more new business than Stellar had in the entire previous 6 months. By the end of the trial, revenue had surged by 40%, and the company was on a clear trajectory to profitability. The board, thoroughly impressed, implemented my strategy company-wide and offered me a permanent position, Chief Strategy Officer. I accepted, a cocktail of exhilaration and terror swirling inside me. But what came next was something I could never have foreseen. 3 months into my new role, Arthur announced he was stepping down as interim CEO, a position he'd assumed during the crisis. "The company is stable now," he told me privately. "It needs a leader with vision to guide it forward." "Who are they bringing in?" I asked, already anxious about a new CEO who might undo our progress. Arthur just smiled that knowing smile of his. "They aren't bringing anyone in. They're promoting from within. He placed his hands on my shoulders. They're asking you, Chloe. I laughed, convinced it was a joke, but his expression was dead serious. Me, CEO, but I've only been here for 5 months. And in those 5 months, he countered, you saved this company and set it up for incredible growth. The board's decision was unanimous. They want you to lead Stellar into its next chapter. The private ceremony, where I officially accepted the role, was a small affair. As the chairman pinned a small golden emblem of the Stellar logo to my lapel, he said something I'll never forget. Sometimes, the most unlikely leaders are exactly what an organization needs. I chose to keep my new role a secret from my family, at least for a while. It wasn't about orchestrating a dramatic reveal. I just wanted to settle in and prove to myself that I was worthy of the title before facing the inevitable disbelief from Olivia and my parents. You have to tell them, my best friend Sophia insisted over celebratory drinks. Your sister would finally have to eat her words. That's precisely why I'm waiting, I countered. I don't want this to be about Olivia or getting her approval. I need to know I can do this job well, for my own sake. Sophia shook her head but didn't push. Instead, she raised her glass. To Chloe Mitchell, secret CEO extraordinaire. I clinked my glass against hers, the reality of my situation still feeling surreal. I keep waiting for someone to tap me on the shoulder and tell me they made a huge mistake. Classic imposter syndrome, Sophia diagnosed with a grin. You'd better shake that off. CEOs are supposed to ooze confidence. She was right. Over the following weeks, I gradually grew into my new role. The executive team respected my judgment, employees responded to my leadership, and our business continued its upward trajectory. Then came the news that would set the stage for my unavoidable collision with Olivia. Apex Capital Group, where my sister was a junior VP, was looking to acquire smaller tech companies. Stellar Dynamics was on their short list. The board was intrigued. A partnership with Apex could provide the capital we needed to scale even faster. I was more cautious, worried about protecting our company culture, but I agreed we should explore the possibility. And that is how I found myself invited to a private industry mixer, where representatives from both companies could meet informally. An event where I would inevitably come face to face with Olivia for the first time since becoming a CEO. Are you going to tell her beforehand? Sophia asked when I called her in a panic. No, I decided after a moment. If I tell her now, she'll think I'm trying to one-up her. I'd rather just show up and do my job. This is going to be epic, Sophia said, and I could hear the smirk in her voice. Promise you'll call me with a full report. Assuming I survive, I replied, only half joking. After hanging up, I tried to quiet my racing heart. After a lifetime spent in Olivia's shadow, I was about to step into the light as her professional equal, perhaps even her superior. The idea was both electrifying and terrifying. The evening of the mixer arrived all too quickly. I stood before my closet, agonizing over my outfit. In the past, I'd always felt plain next to Olivia's impeccably tailored designer wardrobe. Tonight had to be different. I chose a charcoal suit with a subtle pinstripe and a silk blouse in Stellar's signature deep blue. It was professional yet understated, authoritative without being aggressive. I applied minimal makeup, pulled my hair into a sleek bun, and fastened the small golden Stellar pin to my lapel. My reflection was that of a stranger. The nervous younger sister had been replaced by a woman who looked poised and in command. "You've earned this," I whispered to my reflection, a mantra Arthur had taught me. The event was held at a chic rooftop gallery overlooking the city skyline. As my car pulled up, I took a deep breath, squared my shoulders, and stepped out. Inside, the gallery was a sea of elegant conversations. I spotted a few of my own executives who had arrived before me. I decided to hang back for a moment, grabbing a glass of sparkling water and finding a quiet corner to observe. The Apex Capital contingent was easy to identify. They moved in a tight, confident pack. "Have you seen the stellar CEO yet?" I overheard one man ask his colleague. "I heard they appointed someone new, but they've been surprisingly quiet about it." "Probably some industry veteran they hired to make the company look good for a sale," his companion replied dismissively. I allowed myself a small, private smile. Then a familiar voice sliced through the ambient chatter. "Jake, Elizabeth, so good to see you." Olivia. She looked even more polished than I remembered, her blonde hair in a sharp bob, her navy dress exuding expensive confidence. She navigated the room like a seasoned diplomat. I watched her for a few minutes, delaying the inevitable. Finally, I set down my glass and started towards her. She saw me when I was about 10 feet away. Her practiced smile wavered for a fraction of a second before snapping back into place. "Chloe," she exclaimed, her voice loud enough for those nearby to turn. "What a surprise! I had no idea you'd be here." The subtle stress on the word "you" held her real question. "What are you doing here?" "Olivia," I replied, my voice steady as I leaned in for the obligatory air kiss. "It's been a while." "Too long," she agreed, her tone dripping with insincerity. "Let me introduce you. This is Robert Sterling, my boss and a senior VP at Apex. Robert, this is my baby sister, Chloe." Robert, a handsome man in his 50s, offered his hand. "A pleasure. Are you also in finance?" Before I could respond, Olivia cut in. "Oh no, Chloe works in tech support, isn't that right?" "Or have you moved on again?" The condescension was a delicate poison in her words. I saw Robert's interest dim slightly. "I'm still in tech," I said simply, letting her assumption hang in the air. "How are things at Apex? I hear you're looking to expand into the tech sector." Robert's eyebrows lifted, surprised that a tech support person would be privy to their strategy. "Indeed, we are. The future is digital." "A smart move," I nodded, "though integrating tech acquisitions can be a cultural minefield." "That's why we perform extensive due diligence," Olivia interjected, annoyed that I was engaging her boss in a real conversation. "Speaking of which, Robert, we should find the Westbrook team." Robert seemed hesitant to leave. "Actually, I find this fascinating." "Chloe, what's your take on merging traditional finance with tech culture?" As I began to answer, drawing on my recent experience transforming Stellar, I could see Olivia growing agitated. Her eyes darted around, searching for an escape. "That's a very insightful point," Robert said when I finished, genuine respect in his voice. "You seem to have a firm grasp of both worlds." "Chloe's always been a quick study," Olivia said with a tight smile. "But theoretical knowledge is one thing. Actually managing these transitions is another." The conversation was interrupted by another Apex executive, giving me an opportunity to excuse myself. As I walked away, I could feel Olivia's gaze on my back. Over the next hour, I mingled, speaking with several of my own executives who respectfully addressed me as Ms. Mitchell. I was deep in a discussion about data security when I noticed Olivia watching me from across the room, her expression calculating. When my conversation partner took a break, she approached me, this time alone. "I'm confused," she said bluntly. "Why are you here, Chloe? This is a closed event for executives." The implication was clear. I didn't belong. "I was invited," I replied calmly. By whom? She pressed. Does it matter? I'm just concerned, she said, her smile not reaching her eyes. These events have a certain standard. If you're here as a +1, it could reflect badly. The irony was almost comical. Thank you for your concern, but I assure you I have every right to be here. If you say so, she said with a doubtful smirk. Just try not to embarrass yourself. With that, she glided away, leaving me fuming. As the evening wore on, I found myself enjoying conversations with industry leaders who had no preconceived notions about me. I was so engrossed in a debate about emerging markets that I almost missed the shift in the room's energy. A small crowd had gathered around Olivia, who was speaking animatedly. Something in her posture sent a warning signal through me. I drifted closer, staying on the edge of the group. Her voice carried clearly. Absolutely brilliant at solving little technical puzzles, but completely lost when it comes to the big picture. Our parents worried about her for years. My stomach plummeted. She was talking about me. You should have seen her in college, Olivia continued, her voice pitched just right to capture the attention of nearby conversations. Changed majors 3 times, took nearly 6 years to graduate. Meanwhile, I was already a junior analyst at Apex. A few people laughed, though others shifted uncomfortably. Emboldened, Olivia pressed on. She's always been like this, hopping from one job to another, never finding her footing. Tech support 1 month, junior developer the next. She made air quotes around developer, as if the title itself were a joke. Our parents finally gave up asking about her career. It was just too depressing. I was frozen, the familiar shame washing over me. This was Olivia's specialty, turning my struggles into anecdotes that magnified her own success. She was doing it now, in front of potential business partners for my company. Robert, I saw, was at the edge of the group, his expression growing more uneasy with every word. The funny thing is, Olivia was saying, she's actually here tonight. I have no idea how she managed to get an invitation, but that's Chloe for you. Always trying to network her way into opportunities instead of earning them. The group's attention turned to me. I had 2 choices, retreat or confront. The old Chloe would have fled, but I wasn't that person anymore. With deliberate calm, I straightened my jacket, my fingers brushing the stellar pin on my lapel, and walked toward them. Olivia, I said, my voice steady, I see you're entertaining everyone with family stories. Her smile faltered for a heartbeat. Chloe, I was just telling everyone about your unconventional career path. Yes, I heard, I replied evenly. Though I think you might have missed a few recent developments. Oh, Olivia laughed. Did you change jobs again? It's so hard to keep up. I could see Robert wince at her tone, but Olivia was too caught up in her performance to notice. Actually, I've been with the same company for nearly a year now, I said. A whole year? That must be a record for you, she quipped. What are you doing there, still fixing computers? Something like that, I answered vaguely, letting her continue. I didn't have to wait long. Let me guess, she said, her voice sharp. You're here hopping to make connections. Find your next job when this one falls through. It must be exhausting, constantly trying to reinvent yourself. Always the irrelevant little sister, always playing catch-up. The room had grown quiet. More people were now tuning in. I mean, let's be honest, Chloe, you're what, 32? And what do you have to show for it? No stable career, no real accomplishments. Even Mom and Dad have given up hope. Each word was a blow, not because it was true, but because it revealed the small, unchanging box she kept me in. You know what's truly pathetic? She asked, her voice dropping to a mock confidential tone. You showing up at an event like this, surrounded by actual executives pretending you belong. These people run companies, Chloe. They shape industries. What could you possibly contribute? Robert cleared his throat loudly. a clear signal for her to stop, but she ignored it. "Look around," she gestured expansively. "Everyone here earned their place. They're not lost souls hopping to network their way into relevance." The silence that followed was absolute. I could feel dozens of eyes on me. In that moment, a montage of past humiliations flashed through my mind. But this time was different. I was about to respond when Robert Sterling stepped forward. He placed a hand on Olivia's shoulder, effectively silencing her. "Olivia," he said, his voice quiet but firm. "I think that's enough." Olivia turned to him, expecting support. "I'm just giving everyone some family context." Robert's next words detonated in the silent room. "Olivia, that is quite enough," he repeated, his voice now carrying an unmistakable authority. "That is our CEO you're talking to." Time seemed to freeze. Olivia's smile froze on her face, her eyes wide with incomprehension. She turned back to me, disbelief etched across her features. "What?" The word was a faint whisper. "Chloe Mitchell," Robert continued, addressing the crowd, "is the chief executive officer of Stellar Dynamics, the very company Apex Capital has been so eager to partner with." A low murmur rippled through the room. I watched a storm of emotions, confusion, disbelief, embarrassment, and finally, dawning horror, play out across Olivia's face as she realized the magnitude of her mistake. That's not possible," she stammered, her composure shattering. She's just," she trailed off, unable to finish. I stepped forward, my anger replaced by a strange sense of calm. "I was appointed CEO of Stellar Dynamics 6 months ago," I said, my voice clear and steady. "Before that, as Chief Strategy Officer, I led a restructuring that increased our revenue by 40% and set us on a path for sustainable growth." Olivia's face was chalk white. She opened her mouth, then closed it, speechless. Robert attempted to smooth things over. "Ms. Mitchell has been instrumental in transforming Stellar into exactly the kind of innovative company Apex is interested in," he said, giving Olivia a look that communicated the depth of her professional blunder. I didn't know," Olivia finally managed. Then, with a visible effort, she tried to recover. "I was just joking, of course, sisterly humor. Chloe knows I'm her biggest fan." The attempt was so transparent it was painful. Rather than linger on her discomfort, I redirected the conversation. "Since we're all here," I said, addressing the assembled executives, "I'd like to share Stellar's vision for the future of data management. Our proprietary system has applications that could transform how firms like Apex handle client information." As I launched into a brief overview of our technology, I could see respect dawning in the eyes of my audience. They were no longer seeing Olivia's awkward little sister, but a leader with valuable insights. Olivia remained silent, her expression a mask of shock and mortification. When I finished, several executives approached me with business cards and requests for follow-up meetings. Robert was particularly enthusiastic. "I'm impressed," he said quietly. "Not just with your company, but with your composure. A lesser leader might have responded very differently." "Professional courtesy is important," I replied, glancing at Olivia, who was now standing alone by the bar, "especially when considering potential business relationships." Robert nodded, understanding my implication. "For what it's worth, that behavior is not representative of Apex's standards. It will be addressed." As he walked away, I felt a weight lift. For the first time, I had been judged on my own merits. The rest of the evening was a blur of productive conversations. Olivia made one attempt to approach me. "Chloe, can we talk? I think we've both said enough for one evening." I replied, not unkindly. We can discuss family matters another time. Tonight, I'm here as the CEO of Stellar. She flinched but nodded, retreating. As the event wound down, my head of product, Alina, who had witnessed the whole exchange, came over. That was something else, she whispered. Are you okay? I considered her question. Actually, I said, I'm better than okay. For years, I've been trying to escape Olivia's shadow. Tonight, I finally stepped into my own light. Alina smiled. And it's a pretty bright light, boss. On the ride home, I finally allowed the emotional roller coaster of the evening to sink in. There was no joy in Olivia's public humiliation, but there was a profound satisfaction in finally being seen for who I truly was. As promised, I called Sophia the moment I walked through my door. You are not going to believe what just happened, I began, kicking off my shoes and sinking into the couch. Try me, she replied, and I could hear the smile in her voice. The morning after the event, my phone was a storm of notifications. I instructed my PR director to offer no comment on personal matters. As I was getting ready for work, Olivia called. Her voice was subdued, uncertain. I think we need to talk about last night. I agree, I replied. That wasn't how I wanted you to find out. Why didn't you tell us? She asked, a hint of her old accusatory tone creeping in but laced with genuine hurt. I needed time, I explained. Time to prove to myself I deserved it. And honestly, Olivia, if I had told you, would you have believed me? The silence on the other end of the line was my answer. Robert called me into his office this morning, she said quietly. He's removing me from the Stellar acquisition team. Olivia, I can call him. No, she cut me off. Don't, he's right. I let personal feelings compromise a business situation. Another pause. Mom and Dad called. They heard what happened. They want us both to come for dinner this weekend. I grimaced, but to my surprise, Olivia said, I think we should go. They deserve to hear about your success from you. That Sunday, the family dinner was tense. Finally, my father cleared his throat. So, congratulations are in order, Chloe. Thank you, I said. I was appointed CEO 6 months ago. 6 months, my mother exclaimed. And you didn't tell us. I wanted to establish myself first, I explained. Olivia, surprisingly, defended me. I think I understand why Chloe kept it quiet. Our family has a certain dynamic. My parents looked confused. We've always had roles, Olivia continued. I was the achiever. Chloe was the work in progress. That's not fair, my mother protested weakly. Isn't it? I asked gently. In your minds, success looked like Olivia's path, but that wasn't my path. It took me longer, but I found it. Olivia then did something I never expected. I owe you an apology, Chloe, for everything. The admission, made in front of our parents, was monumental. I wasn't blameless either, I admitted. I resented your success instead of defining my own. The honest, painful conversation that followed was a first for our family. For the first time, they asked about my work with genuine interest. By the end of the evening, something had fundamentally shifted. In the driveway, Olivia stopped me. I meant what I said in there. I am sorry. I know, I said, and I accept. The following week, Robert Sterling called. He wanted to restructure the deal, proposing a strategic alliance instead of an acquisition. Stellar would remain independent but integrate our systems with Apex. It was the perfect outcome. And Chloe, he added, I'm restructuring our tech division. We need someone who understands both finance and tech to lead the integration on our side. I knew immediately what I had to do. Madison would be excellent in that role, I said. He was surprised. After everything, our personal history aside, I said, she would be an asset to the project. That's remarkably generous, he said. It's not generosity, I corrected. It's good business. The integration project was our new beginning. Our meetings were initially formal, but slowly, a new dynamic of professional respect emerged. The turning point came during a joint board presentation. When a board member dismissed a technical challenge, Olivia firmly corrected him. "With all due respect, sir, that would compromise the system architecture. As CEO Mitchell has emphasized, maintaining data integrity is non-negotiable." The shift from my sister to CEO Mitchell was a quiet earthquake. Months later, as Horizon's COO, a position I offered her and she accepted after much consideration, we were working late. "I don't know how you do this," she confessed, looking exhausted. "The responsibility is overwhelming." "I was terrified when I first started," I admitted. "I've been faking it my whole life," she said quietly. "Everyone thought success came easily. No one saw the pressure." "I did," I said, "but I misinterpreted it. I thought you were just perfect." In that shared moment of vulnerability, we finally saw each other not as rivals, but as people. 1 year after that fateful night at the gallery, we held a retirement party for Arthur. "I'm proud of you, Chloe," he said to me afterward. "Not just for the company's success, but for your own growth." His words stayed with me. The story wasn't about revenge or triumph. It was about the quiet, difficult work of rebuilding, of finding my own path, and of learning that success isn't a destination. It's the courage to become who you were always meant to be, on your own terms. Olivia and I would never have a simple relationship, but we had built something new and real, not as competitors, but as two women who had finally learned to respect each other's journeys.